Okay, so in the last video, I touched on a couple factors related to physical nutrition in the postpartum. And actually, those things that I touched on are important for any season of life, but especially when we're bringing a new life into this world. We have to pay attention to those things. So make sure to check that out. It's basic, but yet a good reminder. Now we're going to shift into energetic foods, or as we learned at IIN, primary foods. So these are things like your relationships, your sense of purpose, your faith or spirituality, and even physical movement is considered a primary food. Now, when it comes to the postpartum period, I'm just going to touch on each thing quickly. A lot of times, and this is based on my experience, what I've experienced, what I've shared with clients, with friends, with other family members, when it comes to relationships, unfortunately, during the postpartum period, this is when we start to see dysfunction, or our expectations are not met with people who we love, and who maybe we hope for them to fulfill certain roles, but they don't. Now, a lot of times that comes down to communication, to not expressing needs and not being upfront about what we need. And obviously that can be resolved. But then there's also times where, as a mom, you're obviously in a mode of protecting the baby, protecting yourself, trying to stay calm, and just trying to focus on the tasks at hand. And unfortunately, there are times where it's simply not worth it to try and bring certain people into that situation, because it's just going to create stress for you for one reason or another. So then what happens is the mom becomes more isolated, or, more hypervigilant in trying to do a lot of things on her own. And this contributes to the ever popular fight or flight situation, or sympathetic when it comes to the nervous system, where we are simply in a state of being ready to flee or fight. And that's just from different factors that increase stress, that increase stress hormones, and take away from the rebalance and recovery that we want to be happening slowly but surely after having a baby. So that relationship primary food is always a challenge, it seems, with women who I have worked with, and even with friends and people I love when we're having discussions. And there's more awareness around it, which is great. And people are more comfortable talking about it, which is great. And we need to keep doing that, because it affects our physical health, these energetic things. The other thing that contributes to putting your body into a stressful state, into that fight or flight state, is exercising too hard, too fast after having the baby. In my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to commit to anything too intense for at least a good 6 months. I mean, that's just me, because so many times I see new moms who are like, I want to lose this baby weight, I want to get back into shape, and they just start hitting things really hard. And the problem is that, again, we take for granted how long it takes for the body to recuperate from birth. And so this is just another pathway that a lot of moms take in actually doing the reverse of what they want, because their body holds on to calories, maybe holds on to water, because you're putting it in a stressful state. You're putting it in that fight or flight state. So movement, which is a primary food, again, I just think it needs to be more gentle, slowly work back into a routine, do some pelvic floor therapy, walk, do some moderate, low weights, whatever. But as far as just getting right back to it and hitting it hard, I personally don't think that that's the best thing because it ends up being very depleting and putting the body into a stressful state.